Each year goes by, there is at least one film I would say not in a million years I would like. This year, that film goes to K-pop Demon Hunters. This year, Sony and Netflix brought a truly great film to us. A film layered in fantastic animation and music, an interesting concept, and truly amazing characters. Now that the hype has died down a bit, I decided to watch it for the first time. I just let it sit with me for a bit and really think about it, and after all this time, I'm still thinking the same thing as when I was watching this film. Why on earth is this so good? So in this video, we are going to dive deep into everything this film did, to take a retrospective look into this film to see why it is easily the best animated film of the year. So let's start with animation, which is easily this film's strongest suit. The animation in this film is simply stunning. The style stands out from other animated films, which I find very rare these days. This could easily be thanks to the styles staying the same, like with Pixar films or even Illumination if I'm being honest. But none of that is here. Animation has evolved so much in recent years, and this film is proof of that. The animation works so well because it details a lot about the film. It doesn't just look incredible, but it also lets us into this story in an open way. There are multiple topics that really showcase why the animation works so well. Take the character movements as a prime example. The way these characters move is very fluid and stylized. It works in both action but also in emotion with these characters. Even the action in this and multiple scenes are just extraordinary. This film is pretty serious and takes its themes all the way home, but when it has action, it just pops right through the screen. It is simply a joy to sit through. Now, one of the biggest draws to this film is its K-pop music, but most importantly, the culture around it. Now, just for reference, I'm not a big K-pop guy, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about this. With that said, from what I do understand, it is portrayed very well here. There are a lot of things like the concerts where you see this, but also its setting. This film brought in authentic Korean settings so that the K-pop feels more real. A lot of people have been critical on how Sony released this movie. Instead of going to theaters, it went straight to streaming. Many were upset about this, especially given how successful it has been on Netflix. In fact, it just recently became their biggest film yet. While I do understand this to an extent, if I'm being honest, I don't think this would have done well in theaters. Not to detract from the film, it is amazing, but let's be real for a second. An original film around a band killing demons in a packed summer would have bombed. I don't normally defend Sony or Netflix, but this is a case where I can't really blame them. The way this all goes out makes me really excited to see what else is going to come. There have been reports that Netflix wants to make multiple sequels, an animated series, and even a live action remake. Never would I think I would care about that, but that's how well things are done that I would love to see that as soon as possible. Anything they can do in this world, I'm down for. The final part I need to talk about in the animation portion of this video is the Spider-Verse effect. While not exactly to that degree, you can see a lot of inspiration from that film. This is also done by Sony, so that does help in making its style unique. It has inspirations, but it's not a carbon copy of it. Like I said, the animation is very fluid. A lot of the movements in this film are very exaggerated, like Spider-Verse. You can see a lot of this in the fight scenes or when the girls are eating ramen of all things, or even when the fans are just smiling. It's very deliberate. The style is dynamic. You feel invested in the story because of the stunning animation, but also its references to K-pop and anime, two things I don't normally care about. But they played all out really well, especially in the concerts, which are some of the best scenes in the film. Not to detract from any of the talent involved, but it's the directors Maggie King and Chris Alapans who deserve a lot of the credit. They wanted to make its animation real in terms of its culture, but also its character movement. You see a lot of that during the plane sequence. Huntrix actually acts like teenagers, but the core around its setting just works. People can talk all they want about the soundtrack, but they deserve the credit they earned. In general, the animation is just fantastic from top to bottom. It gives us a fresh sense of style through its character movements and dynamics. The story structure isn't anything new, it works well enough, but it could be better. This is where some people tell you it's overhyped or a great film. But that's the beauty of taking a retrospective look. We can view it without any bias and take a deep dive into what it means. Personally, I think the way they did the story was done well enough. With that said, I do think this story is probably the weakest aspect of this film. This isn't a knock against the film, it's still a really good film, but besides its interesting concept in terms of its plot, it's pretty standard. Not that that's a bad thing, but there is some issues with that. The themes of this story deal with things like friendship, community, pressure, and self-acceptance. It's themes that stick to this story so well. A lot of these are shown in the fight scenes, but also in the demons themselves. The themes aren't anything new per se, they just work for this story being told. In terms of its concepts, it's really good. Its story is not anything big, it plays it very simple, and I think that's fine. In that way, there isn't a crazy amount of details to go off of. Its story structure is basic at best, but it works in its execution of that concept. Normally I would go into the specifics of the story, and I will in a second, but I just need to talk about the soundtrack of this film. This has been the biggest talking points of this film, and for good reason. It's incredible, it's a blast to sit through. The music is not only great, but really catchy that it makes you want to sing while watching it. For the story it's telling, it makes perfect sense, but man, the music goes so hard. Especially when you see the film play out, it just makes it even better. Ultimately, the music works because of its details in the plot, so it gives it more payoff. However, there is stuff in the music that is deeper than you may think. I don't think a lot of people have even noticed this. Yes, these songs are incredibly catchy, there is no denying that, but the way it's portrayed throughout the film is just great. Take a look at the song Free. In this scene, both Rumi and Jinu meet up and start singing a song. But this song is so much more important than just a scene between the two. It's a song about how imperfect they both are, but how they overcome that and accept who they are. Even the opening song Golden says it all. This film doesn't waste any time. In a world where films waste time with origins, these characters are established, and Golden says it all, who they are exactly, but also where they will go. The music is story driven all the way through. The album works because of what they did, all giving an album that deserves to break records, but also one that makes the entire story worth it. So I find it strange that some people act like this movie is only there to sell music. Not only is that false, but it tells you missed the entire point of the movie. The music serves the story really well, and what makes it work narratively. The story works really well when it hones in on its themes about friendship with the band, along with struggling to accept who they are, and because its themes are really strong. It also helps that the characters in the story are really likable, but we will talk about more of that in the character section. Trying to keep this story focused here. The themes don't miss the mark though, they go full swing. Even certain characters like Jinu are taken really seriously. There's some really dark, mature storytelling done here. Yes, it's a movie for everyone, but there are things that are very adult and you can see real meaning behind it. Not that it's a bad thing or ruins the experience, the dark themes are mainly around the demons anyway. The rest of the themes are done in more of a friendship and acceptance manner anyway. This is what I mean about its concept that makes it work really well. The idea of a supernatural band fighting demons to protect the world sounds really cool. They make it a driving force of the plot and it makes it really compelling. You believe the terror with how it's handled. I've seen a lot of people compare it to Sinners, and I think that's a fair comparison. There are a lot of similarities between the two. But I can't lie, this film does have some issues for sure. It's not a perfect 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Its pacing went really quick, so a lot of things felt very underdeveloped, such as some of the characters. It can be very predictable given its safe story, and its world building could have been a bit better. But other than that, this film is really good. When it comes to any film or show, the story is the most important thing. This film's story may be the weakest element of the film, but that wasn't what made the film work as well. Even then, it has a lot of intrigue around its themes and musical elements, but its rushed narrative could have been a bit better. Now, while the story for sure has issues, one thing overall this film got right were the characters of this story. Most of these characters work really well, even though some of them could have been better. The characters are extremely likable and relatable. It's here where the film stands out the best. It is these characters that make it work so well. So let's start with Rumi, who is by far the best character of this film. She is struggling to accept who she is, along with how the pressure comes together. You really see a lot of this when she starts singing Golden for the first time and is losing her voice. She just got done with a tour and is struggling to sing again. It also doesn't help that a new boy band comes in to make things even worse. Then the character of Jinu finds out she is a demon and the two start to have a connection. There is a bit of romantic tension between the two, but none of that really comes to fruition. But the two really do work well together and help each other out. The actress who voiced Rumi, Arden Cho, said she took inspiration from her own life, saying she wanted the character to have flaws and problems, not just the good. And you feel her pain, the way she speaks. You feel someone who is an outsider perfectly, especially when she loses her voice. It's the cost of being a demon and losing herself in the darkness. When the other band members, Mira and Zoe, find out she is a demon, they try to take her down. but then by the end of the film, it works so well because of where all of them have came. Even with the fact she's a demon, they accept her as her friend. The final song works because it shows that all of them have accepted each other's flaws. Huntrix does complement Rumi's story very well, which is an issue, but I'll get to that in a second. Zoe and Mira each help out Rumi's arc in some way. In fact, Cho even said that without them, Rumi's arc wouldn't have made any sense. And if she thinks that, who are we to argue? Overall, Rumi is such a great character, one of the best I've seen in an animated film in a long time. Insanely interesting and likable, and I can't wait to see more of her. Speaking of the other band members, let's talk about the other band members. I think they both work well enough despite their problems. However, both are just as likable as Rumi. That's honestly why Huntrix works so well, because of how much you relate to these characters. I will say, I wish we got to see more of Mira. There are some really cool scenes like when she talks with Rumi, but I wish we got to see more of this character because she is pretty interesting. Still, she works well enough, especially towards the end, but I wish there was more of her. Zoe has a bit of this too, but one thing I love about her is she is endlessly so entertaining. She adds a lot of humor to the film, she is also relatable and the second best of the band. My biggest issue with both of these characters is how they don't complete their arcs. By the end they come together, but that's because they work well enough for Rumi's arc, not their own, which is an issue. If this film was a bit longer and more complex, it could have been a bit better. It's not a big issue, but I wish there was more depth that would have given these characters a better arc by the end. But honestly, the best thing about these characters is how they are handling female characters. A lot of female characters aren't done the best today. Mainly with Disney movies, even if it isn't a Marvel movie, this film is basically the opposite of it. Don't get me wrong, badass female characters are awesome. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is, most do not do that. They just try to make nothing but girl power, without any real depth. If you want to make a strong female character, you need to have great writing. While the characters do have problems, there is no doubt about that, all the characters around Huntrix are likable. They actually have something to do. They are way better than most in big superhero blockbusters nowadays. Because they aren't superheroes. They are just teenage friends who act weird. But that's okay. It's why they work so well. Now, if we are going to discuss the characters, I gotta talk about Genu. He is easily the most complex character in the entire film. He is someone who left his family to die and became rich and a demon. He is not a good person when the film begins. So when he meets Rumi, it's a clear arc for him. But not just for him, but for Rumi too. They complement each other. Although he only did that to use her, it showcases how flawed he is in general. But when the final act comes, he has a redemption arc. He goes from betrayal to sacrificing his life. You actually see how far this character has come and it works so well. This is the thing with the characters, because some just feel rushed. But then there are ones that are just like Rumi and Genu that just hold it together so well. The characters are far from perfect. Some aren't used as much, but the ones that are just hold the film up so well. The characters are likable and have an arc, along with showcasing plenty of layers within the film. So let's ask the ultimate question. After 3 months, is it worth the hype it had? The answer to that question is yes, it is. This is one of the best animated films I have seen all year. I never even thought I would make a video on this after all. It isn't a film that sticks with you long after the credits roll, but is still such an entertaining watch. In conclusion, K-Pop Demon Hunters is a really good film. A film layered in its music and stunning animation, a story that may be basic, but with such a cool premise, and characters that can work really well. Even with some of its problems and its rushed narrative, it is such a good film that has aged so well, and if I'm being honest, it gets better the more you think about it. So, what did you guys think about K-Pop Demon Hunters? Let me know in those comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. But until next time, take care.